Alright, bet. So today we will be answering the question on if Cooper Flagg is really worth the hype. Is Cooper Flagg worth all this glaze y'all be giving him on social media, on TikTok, Instagram, on YouTube, in the comments? I be seeing y'all on Twitter, bro, on X. Y'all be doing Cooper Flagg's dick. There's a lot of players that get glazed on X actually. Shy gets hate actually. Shy gets hate on X. Wemby gets glazed. Cooper gets glazed. Tyrese Maxey gets a lot of glaze. They hate Chet. They hate OKC. A couple years ago, like they loved OKC. Now they hate him. Twitter's so weird, man. Twitter's so weird. But going into this, I didn't really hear that much about Cooper Flagg, to be honest. I only saw like a couple tweets about him, but I didn't even really know who he was until this year. And I seen some TikToks of his like performances. He was dunking all over niggas' heads, like in the NBA, moving like white LeBron. That's where he got my attention. So without further ado, CF, let's get to it.
How do you know when you're watching the beginnings of an all-time great talent? Not just elite or exceptional talent, but the kind of player you could say appears once in a generation. Usually the signs are there. National acclaim at an early age, the masses becoming familiar with your name long before you even step foot on an NBA court, throw in a few viral performances, jaw-dropping physical gifts, a Sports Illustrated cover, and you've got yourself a recipe for what can easily be assumed as the next great NBA superstar.
Yeah.
The only problem is we are terrible at predicting truly generational talent.
Facts.
For every player that gets slapped with the label of being generational and lives up to it, there's about 10 more who don't even come close. But what do you call a player who was given the description
Simmons,
of
man.
generational at 16
Simmons?
years old, went toe-to-toe with LeBron as a high schooler and was projected to to go first overall in the NBA draft?
Ben Simmons, we don't respect you around here, Ben Simmons. Yeah. Everybody get them boos up for Ben Simmons, man.
Years before he was even eligible for the draft. Cooper Flagg has faced some of the highest expectations of any recent NBA prospect, and up to this point has exceeded all of them. But even after becoming one of the most obvious first overall picks in recent draft history, some fans justifiably still have their doubts. Opinions ranging from he could be the greatest player of an entire era, all the way to he's one of the most overrated prospects we've seen recently. After missing on numerous alleged generational prospects years before he was even eligible for the draft. Cooper Flagg has faced some of the highest expectations of any recent NBA prospect, and up to this point has exceeded all of them. But even after becoming one of the most obvious first overall picks in recent draft history, some fans justifiably still have their doubts. Opinions ranging from he could be the greatest player of an entire era, all the way to he's one of the most overrated prospects we've seen recently. After missing on numerous alleged generational prospects in recent years, it's clear why some fans are hesitant to give such
I'm not
a
gonna lie,
hefty
bro. That nigga Zion Williamson, bro, like that nigga's more of a gooner and a fast food or a, you know, those food competition eating niggas that just be eating like 50,000 glizzies in 5 minutes and shit like that.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Yeah, like Zion Williamson, he want to be one of those type of niggas, man. He don't want to play ball, man. And I'm not gonna lie, to shorties Zion Williamson be trying to take down, like, we should get this nigga cut from the NBA for doing some type of bullshit like that. I ain't gonna lie.
For the draft. Cooper Flagg has faced some of the highest expectations of any recent NBA prospect, and up to this point has exceeded all of them. But even after becoming one of the most obvious first overall picks in recent draft history, some fans justifiably still have their doubts. Opinions ranging from he could be the greatest player of an entire era, all the way to he's one of the most overrated prospects we've seen recently. After missing on numerous alleged generational prospects in recent years, it's clear why some fans are hesitant to give such a hefty label to anyone. And yet some remain certain that Cooper is generational. Which begs the question, what makes Cooper Flagg the transcendent talent some say he is? And is he really worth the hype? Or are some fans setting him up for the same exact fate other generational talents have suffered? To answer this question, we have to go back long before anyone even knew the name Cooper Flagg. Today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek. Whether you're a ticketing app with over 10 on a news publication. In December of 2021, a news publication out of Maine wrote a piece about a basketball prodigy who was starting to gain attention not just around the state, but around the country, describing him as a talent they had never seen before. A 6'7", supremely gifted 14-year-old. Local coaches and scouts knew immediately they were onto something special and early, because this would be
14, he was getting his own little
one of the first mentions of the name Cooper Flagg, a freshman who had yet to play a single game of high school ball, who many agreed they had never seen the likes of. Over the next 2 years, Cooper quickly became a national headliner, transferring to Montverde Academy and rising up the high school rankings. By the end of his sophomore
with number 32
season, it became clear that Cooper was, in fact, a talent unlike anything else in the country. The secret was out. Cooper Flagg may just be next up. A conversation that led to this. The first mention of Cooper Flagg not just as a great prospect, but as a generational prospect. This came out following a successful summer season where Flagg jumped up national rankings from a 5-star prospect to the consensus #1 player in the country in his class. Like many others before him, the towering propositions about his game and what he might become began to ramp up. But being called generational isn't necessarily out of the norm for prospects of this caliber. However, one season, it became clear that Cooper was, in fact, a talent unlike anything else in the country. The secret was out.
What the fuck is going on with my YouTube, bro? Give me a second, yeah.
Please stop.
The beginnings of an all-time great talent. Not just elite or exceptional talent, but the kind of player you could say was out. Cooper Flagg may just be next up. A conversation that led to this. The first mention of this prospect to the consensus #1 player in the country in his class. Like many others before him, the towering propositions about his game and what he might become began to ramp up. But being called generational isn't necessarily out of the norm for prospects of this caliber. However,
facts.
What is out of the norm is the fact that this article was published on August 3rd, 2023, when Cooper was just 16 years old. At the time, 3 years away from being draft eligible. His incredible physical tools and NBA readiness already putting him in conversations with prospects like LeBron, AD, Zion, and Wemby before he even started his junior season in high school.
That's crazy. You know who glazes a lot, and we don't talk about it enough? Scouts, man. The scouts really be glazing, bro. And no one calls them out for it. Because it's their job. They literally get paid to glaze niggas, man. Oh, he could be the next LeBron James or Anthony Davis, Zion Williamson, or even Victor Wembanyama. Like, nigga, calm down, nigga. You got a family, you talking like this? Oh my God.
That junior season would never come. Because just a week after getting compared to the best prospects of the 21st century, Cooper broke headlines when he decided to jump up a year and reclassify from the class of 2025 to the class of 2024. The result of Flagg jumping up a class and bypassing an entire season of basketball, he not only instantly became the #1 player in the country against players 1 to 2 years older than him, overnight, he became the favorite to be selected first overall in the 2025 NBA draft. As a 16-year-old who had just finished his sophomore year of high school. The rankings were, of course, correct. Cooper was still so far ahead of his competition that he was a shoo-in for the High School National Player of the Year just a few games into that season. Projections this bullish and this early are so rare that we've only seen them a handful of times. Back in 2001, when NBA scouts were already saying a 16-year-old LeBron was a surefire #1 pick, and more recently with Victor Wembanyama, who was projected to be the first overall pick 2 years.
So we have 2 generational athletes. We got Wemby about to come into the league. They're already told him as generational, and then they're about to say this Cooper Flagg nigga is like him. He's the next generational athlete. We're gonna see, man. We already know Wemby. He's gold caliber. Is Cooper Flagg him? I don't know.
Before he was eligible for the draft. Outside of these two truly once-in-a-generation talents, even the most sought-after prospects do not face these expectations this early in their basketball career. But it was in the following season where Cooper would face his biggest test yet. Prove that he was good enough to still dominate games at the college level. But before he even stepped foot on a college court, Cooper did what no high schooler had ever done before him. How do we know if Cooper Flagg will be able to play at the next level and compete against the best players in the world?
Yeah.
Well, because he already played them. Last summer, at just 17 years old, Flagg was chosen to be a part of the USA men's select team, a team that would scrimmage LeBron, Steph, KD, and the rest of the Olympic team. A team that hadn't featured a non-NBA player in over a decade and had never featured a high school kid. Now, the best one could hope for this kid going toe-to-toe against the NBA's best is for him to just fit in, soak in the moment, make the right plays, and just not be a liability. Cooper didn't just fit in. He actually stood out. In a straw poll survey conducted by The Athletic following the training camp, players on the Olympic team were asked who they thought the best player on the men's select team was. The player who was chosen by unanimous decision was Cooper.
I just got goosebumps. Excuse me? Unanimous? Like, as in everybody votes and everyone's just like, yeah, it's Cooper, it's Cooper, yeah, it's Cooper, it's Cooper. Nah, bro, chill game.
Team loaded with some of the brightest young NBA talents, and it was the 17-year-old kid that played better than all of them. By the end of the summer, Cooper had already checked off every generational box. He received national acclaim. He was way ahead of schedule in his frame and development to the point where it just wasn't even fair. He went from dominating his class to dominating the country to playing and holding his own against the best players in the world. And of course, he had earned the generational label. The next challenge in front of him was college, which at that point wasn't really a challenge at all. As the second youngest player in the entire country, Cooper immediately became the best player in college basketball, putting up 19, 7, and 4 a game as statistically the best offensive player in the country and a top 5 defensive player in the country. His measurables, defensive instincts, and polished offensive game drawing comparisons to Jason Tatum, Scottie Pippen,
Yo, I knew Cooper Flagg was good, but I don't know, bro, was this good? What the fuck?
Kawhi Leonard. The kid played half of the season as a 17-year-old and won National Player of the Year. But to put into perspective just how incredible Cooper's freshman season at Duke was, here are the top 250 players in college basketball last season represented by age on the x-axis and box plus minus on the y-axis. This chart represents the top 10% of all college basketball players this past season, and it tells the story of what NBA teams are looking for when assessing talent and who stands out amongst their peers. Up here are some of the best players in the country last season, the vast majority of them on the older end of college sports, 22, 23, even 24-year-olds. But the NBA isn't necessarily looking for the best prospects, they're looking for prospects with the most upside, young guys who have the highest ceiling. And this becomes clear if we highlight all 30 players selected in the first round of the 2025 NBA draft. All of these players had great seasons, but what really sets them apart from the other 2,400 collegiate players trying to get drafted is their youth. Look at the top picks in this year's draft, and all of them are much younger than their non-drafted counterparts. You could call this the draft zone, a recipe of being elite and extremely young, and landing here will greatly increase your odds of making it to the league. It's not just about being good, it's about being good early and having the potential to get a whole lot better. But if the best prospects in the country are here, where's Cooper Flagg?
Where's EFX?
You guys are not gonna believe this. He's up here, all by himself.
Bullshit, man. Yo, who is this nigga, bro? Yo, who is this nigga, B? Yo, who is this nigga? Yo, who's this Cooper Flagg nigga, bro? Bro.
A kid that was supposed to still be in high school as by far the best player in the country with the most upside. It is not a stretch to say Cooper Flagg is a generational talent. But here's the catch. Despite all of the incredible things he's done over the last few years, and his absurd NBA readiness at a young age and just how much upside he possesses, Cooper is not the exception. When LeBron came into the league, we had never seen a prospect quite like him up to that point. When Victor Wembanyama was drafted, we definitely had never seen a player like him before. In fact, I didn't even know a player like him was in the realm of possibility. But we have seen players, even recently, like Cooper Flagg, that were just as talented, just about as young, with games just as NBA ready as Flagg's is. And even when we think we know the recipe for a surefire megastar, history has shown us that
And I ain't gonna lie, a lot of them come from Duke, gang.
oftentimes we don't know the difference between great talent and generational talent. Since 2000, there have been 12 players who were given the label of generational, from LeBron and Greg Oden to Zion.
All right, so we got LeBron, Dwight Howard, Greg Oden, flop, Blake Griffin. Not really a flop. He was living up to his, like, okay, no, he's not generational though. He was a great player. Anthony Davis, great player, just injury prone. Andrew Wiggins, flop. Ben Simmons, flop. DeAndre Ayton, flop. Zion Williamson, just injured. But when he plays, he's amazing. Cade Cunningham, he's growing into his role. Victor Wembanyama, come on now, he's living up to his potential. And Cooper Flagg. What the fuck, Cooper? Cooper, is there anything you want to tell us, gang? I ain't gonna lie. Talk to me. Is there anything you want to tell us? All right, man.
Zion and Wemby. Now, for many of these names, similar to Cooper Flagg, their title as generational was accepted, but not by everyone. Like Greg Oden back in 2007, who truly did look like a once-in-a-generation big man coming out of college. Him getting selected over Kevin Durant is about all the evidence you need of that. Same with Zion Williamson in 2019, another incredibly hyped prospect with superstar potential who blew the doors off of college basketball for a season, but has been completely derailed thanks to injuries. 12 proclaimed generational prospects in 26 years, or about one projected generational talent every other year, is a gross overestimation not just of talent, but how often this kind of talent comes around. Among the true generational talents and the ones who had the potential to be one are the players who were thrown into a conversation they should have never been in. Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis are both incredible Hall of Famers, but still not quite generational. Andrew Wiggins and Ben Simmons looked the part, but fell short.
Facts. Okay, so I'm put it like this, like, I already put it
by about a mile. Believe it or not, even players like DeAndre Ayton and Cade Cunningham managed to earn the generational label leading up to the time they were drafted. Of these 12 players, one of them truly lived up to the lofty label, and another one is currently proving he was worthy of the label. The general public predicted 12, and we got 2. No matter how many players we claim to be generational, turns out once in a generation truly means once in a generation. And with Wemby clearly being the guy of this era, we may not be due for another generational talent for quite some time. What are the odds Cooper lives up to the absolute upper end of the ceiling people have placed on him? Well, no one actually knows. If what a player did leading up to the time of them being drafted told us who they would become in the league, then Zion, Ben Simmons, and Andrew Wiggins would be the face of the NBA right now. The inverse of this is also true. If pre-draft projections were any indication of who a player would eventually become, Giannis, Jokic, and Kawhi would have been written off years ago. We may have an idea of what a player might become, but that's it, an idea. Truth is, some of these once proclaimed generational talents didn't fail to meet their potential. It's likely that they were just never the once-in-a-generation talent some claimed them to be. All things indicate that Cooper Flagg could be a truly transcendent player in the league. Of course, that's if indication meant anything at all. Only time will tell what Cooper's true potential is, and if he'll rise up.
Yo, he blocked the shit out of that nigga. Oh my god.
Only time will tell what Cooper's true potential is, and if he'll rise up and meet it.
I don't know, he looked a little too nice, man, for me to just give him that dog generational role. But, you know, great video of all, like always, Jimmy. But, I don't know, man. I don't know, cuz. I don't know if I'm going to give him that role, cuz.